Not every Washington quarter is just worth 25 cents. Some carry rare dates, special mint marks, and minting errors that make them worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. That simple quarter in your pocket could be a hidden jackpot. So always check your Washington quarters carefully before spending them. The 1974 United States Washington quarter dollar is one of those coins that most people have handled countless times without giving it much thought. After all, the Washington quarter has been a staple of American pockets, purses, and cash registers since its introduction in 1932. But what many people don't realize is that the 1974 Washington quarter hides within its production a fascinating story of errors, unusual variations, and condition rarities that have made certain examples incredibly valuable at auction. While an ordinary 1974 quarter might only buy you 25 cents worth of goods, the right example can bring in hundreds, even thousands of dollars, especially if it contains a striking minting mistake or has survived the decades in pristine, high-grade condition. To fully appreciate the 1974 quarter, it helps to look back at its place in the Washington quarter series. First minted in 1932, the Washington quarter was created to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Sculptor John Flanagan designed the coin, with Washington's profile on the obverse and a heraldic eagle clutching arrows and olive branches on the reverse. This design became one of the most iconic in U.S. coinage and remained in place until the state quarters program began in 1999. By 1974, the Washington quarter was firmly established as a familiar piece of American coinage, and it had already transitioned from silver to copper-nickel clad, following the Coinage Act of 1965. The 1974 quarter was struck at 3 mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia coins carried no mint mark, Denver coins bore the D, and San Francisco produced proof coins for collectors with the S mint mark. Collectors today recognize that while most 1974 quarters are worth only face value in circulated grades, the key to value lies in finding coins that either display mint errors, dramatic strike problems, or exceptional preservation that makes them stand out among the hundreds of millions minted. Errors from the 1974 quarter are where things really become interesting. One of the most popular types of errors seen in 1974 quarters is the off-center strike. In these cases, the coin did not align properly with the dies during striking, leaving part of the design missing. A mild off-center strike might only bring $50 to $100, but dramatic examples showing 50% or more off-center with the full date visible have sold for $500 or more at auction. Another sought-after error involves double strikes, where the coin received more than one blow from the dies. Some 1974 quarters show clear doubling with overlapping designs, making them fascinating conversation pieces for collectors. Depending on how dramatic the doubling is, these coins can sell for anywhere between $200 and $800. Clipped planchets are also known from this year. These errors occur when the blank metal discs cut for coins overlap during production, leaving a visible crescent-shaped clip in the finished coin. Collectors love these oddities, and depending on size and visibility of the error, a clipped planchet 1974 quarter might bring $100 to $250. Another rare but valuable error involves coins struck on the wrong planchet. Occasionally, a quarter die would mistakenly strike a blank meant for another denomination, like a dime or nickel. These mistakes are instantly recognizable because the coin appears undersized or overweight for a quarter. Examples from 1974 struck on wrong planchets have sold at auction for over $1,000, depending on the metal and denomination intended. Perhaps the most dramatic and expensive error associated with the 1974 quarter is a coin struck without the clad layer. As you may know, since 1965 quarters have been made of a copper-nickel sandwich with a pure copper core. When a clad layer is missing, the coin looks dramatically different, often golden or coppery in color. These mistakes are highly prized, and 1974 quarters missing a clad layer have brought $2,000 or more at auction. Depending on condition, high-grade condition rarities are another path to value. While most 1,974 quarters spent years in circulation, a few survived in pristine condition, often because they were set aside in mint rolls or proof sets. Coins graded MS-67 or higher by professional services like PCGS and NGC are rare, and collectors are willing to pay top dollar for them. For example, a 1974 D quarter graded MS-67 has sold for more than $1,500 at auction, while proof coins from San Francisco in PR-70 deep cameo condition have crossed the $2,000 mark. Auction records help paint the picture of how impressive the values for 1974 quarters can be. A dramatic off-center 1974 quarter with a 75% misstrike and full date once sold for nearly $900. A missing clad layer example graded by PCGS achieved over $2,100. Meanwhile, high-grade condition rarities, particularly those with sharp details, brilliant luster, and few marks, have consistently brought four-figure prices at public sales. These results show that while the ordinary 1974 quarter is common, special examples can be life-changing for collectors lucky enough to find them. For collectors, the thrill of searching for these treasures is part of the fun. Imagine going through pocket change, a coin jar, or a roll of quarters from the bank and spotting one that looks a little different. Maybe the color is off, the strike is misaligned, or the coin looks unusually pristine. With knowledge of errors and varieties, you could be holding something worth far more than 25 cents. That's the kind of engagement and excitement that has kept collectors fascinated with coins like the 1974 quarter for decades. Beyond the errors and values, the 1974 quarter also has an important place in history. It represents the everyday coinage of Americans during a pivotal decade, a time when the economy faced inflation and changing currency demands. The fact that collectors today can look back on these coins and uncover treasures within them speaks to the durability and richness of U.S. coinage history. So, the next time you see a 1974 Washington quarter, don't dismiss it as just another piece of pocket change. Take a closer look. Check the edges for clad layer problems. Study the strike for doubling or off-center misalignments, and examine the surfaces for high-grade preservation. You never know. What looks like an ordinary coin could in fact be one of those rare survivors that has crossed the auction block for $1,500, $2,000, or even more. The 1990 United States Washington quarter-dollar coin is one of those pieces of American coinage that most people would glance at quickly and toss into a change jar without giving it much thought. After all, the Washington quarter had been in circulation for nearly 6 decades by the time 1990 came around, and billions of them had been struck. Yet, within those billions lies a fascinating story of design, history, and error coins that have turned an otherwise common 25-cent piece into a collector's treasure worth far more than its face value. Some rare examples have even sold for extraordinary sums at auction, with prices reaching between $48,000 and $130,000 in the right circumstances, making it one of the most surprising modern-era coins to capture the attention of numismatists. To fully appreciate the 1990 Washington quarter, we need to go back to the roots of the series itself. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse features a left-facing bust of Washington with the word Liberty arched above, "In God We Trust" to the left, and the date below. This design remained largely unchanged for decades, making it a familiar sight in pockets and cash registers across America. By 1990, collectors were used to seeing Washington's profile every time they handled a quarter. Yet the beauty of coinage lies in the small variations, conditions, and minting errors that make certain years stand out. The reverse of the 1990 quarter still carried the heraldic eagle design that had been used since 1932. The eagle, wings spread, clutches a bundle of arrows in its talons, symbolizing strength and readiness for defense, while an olive branch below the arrows reflects peace. Above the eagle's head appears E pluribus unum, and surrounding the image are the inscriptions United States of America and quarter dollar. It is a design both bold and traditional, one that defined American coinage for decades before the 1999 introduction of the state quarters program. When it comes to minting, the 1990 Washington quarter was produced in large numbers at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. The Philadelphia mint struck over 613 million quarters, while the Denver mint produced more than 927 million. The San Francisco mint struck around 3.3 million proof coins, which were sold directly to collectors. With totals approaching 1.5 billion coins, the 1990 quarter is far from rare in general circulation. However, scarcity is not always about quantity, it's about condition and unique mistakes. Most circulated 1990 quarters today are only worth their face value of 25 cents. They've been passed around, scraped, and worn, showing the marks of everyday commerce. But high-grade examples, coins that never entered circulation and still shine with original mint luster, can be worth much more. For instance, a 1990 P quarter graded MS67 by PCGS or NGC can bring $200 to $500 at auction. A 1990 D quarter in the same high grade has fetched similar prices, showing how condition can transform an ordinary coin into something desirable. Even more astonishing are the rare MS68 examples, which are virtually flawless. These have sold for thousands of dollars, proving that top quality is always in demand. Proof coins from San Francisco are also highly collectible. Struck on specially prepared planchets with polished dies, proof coins show mirror-like fields and frosted details. A 1990 S-proof quarter-graded PR70 Deep Cameo, the highest grade possible, has sold for over $500, with most PR69 examples bringing between $20 and $50. Proof coins provide another angle for collectors who seek perfection and rarity. But what truly makes the 1990 Washington quarter captivating is the presence of dramatic minting errors. Error coins are highly prized because they provide a glimpse into the otherwise secretive and precise world of the minting process. With billions of coins struck each year, mistakes are bound to happen, and when they do, collectors rush to add these oddities to their collections. One of the most sought-after 1990 quarter errors is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank or planchet is not seated correctly between the dies when struck. The result is a coin with part of its design missing and a blank crescent-shaped area visible. Depending on how far off-center the strike is and whether the date remains intact, these coins can sell for $100 to over $500. The more dramatic the misalignment, the higher the value, especially if the full date is visible. Another significant error type for 1990 quarters is the double die. Double dies occur when the die itself has been improperly engraved, resulting in doubling of the design elements. Collectors may see doubled letters in Liberty, "In God We Trust," or even the numbers in the date. Strong examples of double dies can bring thousands of dollars at auction, as they are rare and highly collectible. Even minor doubling adds interest and value. There are also broad strike errors, where the coin is struck without the retaining collar that normally keeps it uniform in size and shape. These errors cause the quarter to appear slightly larger and distorted, and they often sell for $50 to $150 depending on condition. Missing clad layer errors are even more striking. Since modern quarters are made with a copper core and a copper-nickel outer layer, a missing clad layer exposes the reddish copper core on one side of the coin. Such errors are dramatic and instantly recognizable, with values ranging from $500 to over $1,000 depending on grade. Perhaps the most spectacular are double denomination errors, where a quarter is mistakenly struck on a planchet meant for another denomination, such as a dime or cent. These are incredibly rare and can sell for tens of thousands of dollars. While not common for 1990 specifically, double denomination errors are always headline-worthy when discovered. Auction records confirm the remarkable value potential of the 1990 Washington quarter. One particularly pristine 1990 D quarter graded MS68 sold for over $3,500, highlighting how extreme condition drives up prices. Meanwhile, proof examples in perfect PR70 have sold for $500 or more, appealing to collectors of modern proofs. And the rarest of the rare, dramatic errors have commanded sums from $1,000 into the tens of thousands, depending on the type and visibility of the error. It is in this realm of errors and pristine examples where the jaw-dropping values emerge, with certain unique coins selling for amounts as high as $48,000 to $130,000, stunning both seasoned collectors and casual observers. The 1990 Washington quarter is therefore a coin of dual identity. On one hand, it is incredibly common, with billions still circulating and most worth only face value. On the other hand, it is a canvas for extraordinary rarity, with flawless examples and wild errors making it a highlight for serious collectors. It serves as a reminder that value is not always about age or scarcity in numbers, but rather about condition, uniqueness, and demand among those who treasure these small pieces of history. For collectors, the thrill lies in the hunt. Searching through rolls of quarters from the bank, examining pocket change under a magnifying glass, or carefully inspecting proof sets can lead to discoveries that make the effort worthwhile. Stories abound of lucky finds, where someone discovers an unusual 1990 quarter and realizes it is worth far more than 25 cents. The excitement of turning spare change into a valuable collectible is part of what makes numismatics so rewarding. In the broader scope, the 1990 quarter also represents the final years of the traditional Washington quarter design before the dramatic change brought about by the state quarters program in 1999. Collectors looking back at the 1990 issue see it as part of the last chapter of an era that stretched back to the Great Depression. Its errors and high-grade examples bridge the gap between the common and the extraordinary, making it a coin worth paying close attention to. So the next time you come across a 1990 Washington quarter dollar, pause before spending it. Take a closer look at its details. Does the luster shine as if it just left the mint? Are there unusual features, perhaps doubling in the lettering or a surface that looks different from the norm? Could it be off-center, broad-struck, or even missing its clad layer? If so, you might just be holding a small fortune. What looks like an ordinary quarter could, in the right circumstances, be worth thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars, turning pocket change into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The 1996 United States Washington quarter dollar is one of those coins most people handle without giving it a second thought, but for collectors, it is far more than pocket change. When you look at this coin, it seems like just another everyday piece of currency, yet the story behind it, the design, the production, and especially the rare errors connected to it, can turn what looks like 25 cents into something that sells for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. That's the fascinating part about coins like the 1996 quarter. Sometimes the ordinary becomes extraordinary. The design of the 1996 quarter still carried the traditional Washington portrait that had been on the coin since 1932. The obverse features the left-facing bust of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, which was originally created to commemorate the bicentennial of Washington's birth. By 1996, it had already been in use for more than 60 years, becoming one of the most recognized images in American coinage. On this side, you'll find the inscriptions "Liberty" above Washington's head, "In God We Trust" to the left, and the date 1996 at the bottom. A mint mark is also placed just to the right of Washington's ponytail, which tells us where the coin was minted. The reverse side displays an eagle with its wings spread, clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons, with 2 olive branches below. This design, also by Flanagan, symbolizes strength and peace and was used consistently on quarters until 1998, just before the U.S. Mint launched the 50-state quarters program in 1999. The inscriptions "United States of America" appear around the top edge, "E pluribus unum" just above the eagle, and "quarter dollar" along the bottom. For many collectors, this design represents the classic quarter before the modern wave of state and national park quarters took over. The 1996 quarters were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia coins have no mint mark, Denver coins carry the D, and San Francisco produced proof coins marked with S. Together, billions were struck for circulation, which is why most 1996 quarters are still only worth their face value. They're not scarce in the sense of how many exist, but scarcity comes into play when you look at condition and errors. Condition is key. For circulated 1996 quarters, the value will almost always be 25 cents. But uncirculated examples, especially those graded MS-67 or higher, are far rarer than people realize. The average quarter simply doesn't survive with perfect surfaces due to how heavily they're used in commerce. As a result, collectors will pay strong premiums for coins in top condition. A 1996P or 1996 D quarter graded MS-68, for example, has sold for over $1,000 at auction because of how rare it is to find one with no distracting marks and flawless luster. Proofs from San Francisco are more common in collector channels, but a deep cameo 1996 S-proof graded PR70 can still bring $50 to $150 now. Let's move to what really captures collectors' imaginations, the error coins. Minting mistakes on 1996 quarters are what can take an everyday coin and transform it into something worth far more than its face value. Off-center strikes are one of the most dramatic and desirable errors for this year. A 1996 quarter struck significantly off-center, with a portion of the design missing but the date still visible, can sell for anywhere between $200 and $600 depending on the degree of misalignment. Double strikes are another type of error, where the coin was struck more than once in the press. These can create overlapping or shifted designs, making Washington's portrait appear doubled or the eagle's wings ghosted. A dramatic double strike from 1996 could fetch several $100s, especially if both strikes are clear and strong. There are also wrong planchet errors from this year that are especially valuable. Imagine a Washington quarter struck on a nickel or dime planchet, or even a foreign blank. These coins not only stand out because of their odd size and weight, but they are also incredibly rare. At auctions, wrong planchet errors for Washington quarters can bring anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 depending on the coin and condition. Missing clad layer errors are another standout. Since quarters have a copper core sandwiched between nickel cladding, sometimes one of the outer nickel layers doesn't bond properly during minting. This leaves one side of the coin looking copper-colored instead of the usual silver appearance. A 1996 quarter with a missing clad layer can be worth $300 to $800 or more, especially if it's in uncirculated condition. Clipped planchet errors are also seen on 1996 quarters. This error occurs when the blank metal sheet was misfed into the press, resulting in coins with curved clips taken out of them. Depending on the size of the clip and the overall appearance, these can be worth $75 to $150. Strike-through errors, where a foreign object or grease got between the die and the planchet, leaving odd marks or even portions of the design missing, can sell for $50 to $200. Auction results prove just how valuable the right 1996 quarter can be. A 1996 D quarter graded MS-68 sold for more than $2,000 at auction, a price that seems shocking for such a modern coin. Off-center and missing clad layer examples from this year have sold for $300 to $700, while wrong planchet coins have exceeded $2,500. Even a simple strike-through error, if dramatic enough, can sell for more than $100. This is what makes the 1996 Washington quarter so exciting. It's not rare in the sense of everyday circulation, but finding the right one, whether a flawless gem or a dramatic error, can make all the difference. Collectors love these coins not just for their design and history, but also for the possibility that one small mistake at the mint turned an ordinary piece of change into a numismatic treasure. Think about it, billions of these coins were struck, yet out of that massive number, only a tiny fraction will ever be graded as near perfect or display a rare error. That's what creates the thrill of the hunt. Most people overlook them, but the sharp-eyed collector knows that treasure sometimes hides in plain sight, even in a simple quarter dated 1996. So the next time you see a Washington quarter from that year, don't just toss it into a vending machine or drop it into a coin jar. Look closely. Check for unusual surfaces. Examine the details, and think about whether the coin is uncirculated or maybe even has an error. That one coin could be worth $100, $500, or even thousands depending on what you find. The 1996 Washington quarter is a perfect example of why numismatics is such an exciting hobby. It's a reminder that history, value, and rarity can all be found in the palm of your hand, disguised as ordinary change. And for collectors, the possibility of discovering something extraordinary is what keeps the search alive.